Unity developers tend to spend a lot of time juggling between scenes and sifting through game objects within the scene hierarchy. This constant navigation leads to increased frustration, missed deliverables, and at worst, abandoned projects. Slipstream improves this workflow and reduces friction by providing a constant access to the scenes and game objects you're currently working on. After installing any of the Streamline Dev Tools, they can be accessed through the Tools menu, like so. We're going to choose Slipstream. When the Slipstream window is launched, you'll notice that it shows our active scene and provides a drop-down so that we can easily navigate between any scene. But the real power of Slipstream comes in when we try to manage game objects for any given scene. To add a game object to the Slipstream box, we simply click it and drag it in. Once a game object is dragged into the box, it's automatically saved for this given scene, which means if we were to leave this scene and then return, the game object we're working with is ready for us to do what we need to do. Before we dig deeper into any of these game objects, it's worth mentioning that we can add game objects from the hierarchy or the Unity library. This makes managing game objects for any particular scene easier and more consistent. Let's head over to another scene and add some other game objects. Again, as we flip through scenes, you'll notice that the game objects that we're currently working on remain within the box. This avoids us having to go and manually search for individual game objects over in our hierarchy here. Once we have a game object inside our Slipstream box, we can click the drop-down to view its details. From here, we can make any change necessary to any game object and it will reflect properly in the Unity hierarchy or project library. We can also open any one of the game objects in its own individual game object box by clicking this button. We can also change the game object that's inside this box by unclicking the lock selection and choosing any other game object, which will load it into the box. Both the current game objects listed within Slipstream and the game object box will be saved for that individual scene. So if we were to switch to scene 3, we have no objects added and no objects to show in the box. If we go back to scene 1, you'll see that it automatically loaded the objects that we were focusing on, as well as the object that we had loaded within the box. When we're ready to work with a new set of game objects, we can clear this and simply drag in any of the game objects that we need to work with. Again, the scene will be saved, so we don't have to worry about having to find them once we return. They're already loaded for us. In similar fashion, we can close the Slipstream box and then open it again to again have our active game objects, the ones that we're working on, loaded immediately for us. Similar to the game object box, choosing the drop-down exposes the details for the game object. One thing worth noting, anytime we're working with a prefab object, it will be denoted by a blue background. Any edits performed on this will actually affect the prefab object and all of its prefab objects loaded in any given scenes. Overall, Slipstream allows for a tremendous advantage when it comes to only focusing on the game objects that you need to work with at any given time. We can also manually remove these game objects, and again, it will be automatically saved for the given scene. If and when we no longer need the Slipstream box, we can just close it and continue on with our project. Future updates for Slipstream and all of the Streamline Unity assets will help Unity developers improve their workflow even more. Thank you for watching this intro for the Streamline Dev Tools Slipstream asset, available now on the Unity Asset Store.